Hello, listeners. This is August here. Quick note before the episode. We recorded this episode a couple weeks ago. Marcus, Eleanor, and I did. And after finishing recording, we realized to our horror that Eleanor's mic wasn't picking anything up. And so we've had to devise some kind of solution here. And so what we're calling it is AI Eleanor. That's right. We're feeding all of Eleanor's poems, recordings, and their entire Substack into an AI. And we think this AI Eleanor is better than the real Eleanor. Say hi, AI Eleanor.
What the fuck? Poetry.
I actually wrote an opening monologue for this one.
Okay.
If you guys will indulge me.
Yeah.
You're gonna do it whether I want to or not.
That's damn right I am. All right, we got a great show tonight. We got a great show for you. Don't you worry. You're in good hands. We got Timothy Chalamet. We got Josh Brolin. We've got Florence Pugh here in the studio. We also got Drake. But first, a quick look at the headlines. Folks, have you heard about this? Taylor Swift has announced her new album. Yeah, it's called the Tortured Poets Department. Did you hear about this, guys? I heard that and thought, torturing poets? What is this, a concept album about the IDF? Folks, yo.
Too soon.
Tortured Poets Department... Folks, I didn't know Taylor Swift went to my MFA program. Yeah, folks, the only thing getting tortured here are her metaphors, folks. Tortured metaphors. Like that phrase. Tortured poets? Redundant much? Tortured Poets Department, funny enough, that's what I call any department that I walk into, and Taylor Swift is playing. I'm the poet in that scenario. But seriously, folks, there's a lot of mysteries surrounding this album, a lot of questions surrounding it, like who's producing this thing? Lorca? Yeah, Jack Antonoff, more like Jack Spicer. Oh. That's two poets who had really painful deaths. One more here. Tortured Poets Department. Yeah, I guess we know who Taylor Swift's next boyfriend is. Ted Hughes. That's a Sylvia Plath reference. But there's other musicians in the news. Don't forget, Drake is in the news once again. A video of him and his penis leaked and DMs leaked onto the internet. You know, I don't really want to make a lot of jokes about this, to be honest with you. It's pretty sad. I hate to hear that this happened to Drake. It's got to be the second most embarrassing thing to happen to him this year. The first, of course, being publishing a poetry book. What?
If you can call it that.
If you can stretch the imagination that far. Yeah, I did see the video though. It came across my feed because I searched for it. And for those who were curious about it, I will say this about the contents of the video. The thing you're curious about, it's longer than his poetry book, folks. Yeah. More imagery as well. A lot more imagery. You know, with all these leaked DMs, they're starting to call Drake the Steve Rogen buck of rap. Is that too soon? Should I cut that
soon.
I don't think we had to cut that. It's kind of funny.
Oh, but another thing happened a couple weeks ago. Another interesting thing in the literary world. AWP was a few weeks ago. Did you hear about this?
Bobby was there.
Bobby was there. I didn't know that. Yeah, AWP was there. I was glad. I wish I could have gone to support For those of you who don't know, AWP stands for the Awami Workers Party. This is a left-wing political party in Pakistan, and Pakistan just had a general election on February 8th. So it was nice to see a lot of poets and writers coming forward and supporting these comrades overseas. AWP, the Awami Workers Party. So that's my opening monologue. What'd you guys think?
That's fine.
That was good.
Some of those are a little edgy, but we got to do what we can do to get the views up, right? The listens.
Just the views.
Isn't there a Drake album called Views?
Dude,
Kind of
I don't
relevant.
know.
Yeah.
It's just a recurring theme of me saying I don't know anything about this figure or this whatever. But I didn't. I guess I was in a cursory sense aware that Taylor Swift was gonna release some album with the atrocious title. But it's really funny that my friend, if she ever listens to this, shout out to Angeli, my friend Ange, who isn't in, I mean, she listens to music, but not in the sense of like, if I'm going to someone like me who's whatever going to shows a lot and follows like small labels for listening to
Mhm.
music, and when I was trying to encapsulate like um some singer or band I didn't like, and I'm like, it's not like Taylor Swift music. I and she's like, no, I take offense to that. She's like, I've loved Taylor Swift since I was younger. I'm like, okay, then what's a good substitute like that won't offend your sensibilities? And she's like, Drake. I'm like, okay, I can I can live with that because I only know one Drake song, and it's the song that the like electronic artist Yeji did a cover of.
What
Um,
is? I don't.
Passion Fruit. I know
Oh.
one Drake song. To me, he's only Jimmy from Degrassi, who's really like famous, and it's just like he's just like a Kim Kardashian figure to me who happened to be on Degrassi. So
Oh, Kim
if
Kardashian figure, as in like a figure that like you just completely block out and ignore.
yeah, but that
Yeah,
makes a lot of headlines and like has some people's attention and
yeah,
did some things or does some things that grab people's attention, but I'm only
yeah,
aware of them as like a as like a meme.
yeah,
Um, and so I was like, okay, I can get on board with saying like he's the personification of like all the stuff about music I hate because I'm sure if it was good, I would know more than the cover version of his song.
yeah. It's kind of telling that someone who would like be like a Taylor Swift fan feels like comfortable being like, no, this is the shit music. I mean, Drake is like the third most streamed artist in the world or
Okay, that's insane
something. Yeah, I know.
because
It's
like I said,
mind-boggling.
maybe I would know one of his songs if it played, like I had heard it in like a store or something, but I'm sure you could find like who's a how popular is Charlie XCX? Or am I just like so
It's like hard
insulated
to.
that I think she's super popular?
It's like hard. Like Charlie XX is certainly very popular, but then if you compared her popularity to something like Drake, it's like an astronomical difference.
Yeah, I
You know
can't
you
think
know
of.
some Drake songs though. You know the used to call me on my cell phone. You know that. You've heard that.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that was him.
Yeah. You used to call me on my cell phone. Late night when you need my love. Call me on my cell phone. Late night when you need my love. Hey, I know when your hotline blink.
Welcome to episode 3 of Not Fit for Composition. I am your host, August Smith. We are the #1 gatekeeping podcast in American letters. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Marcus Corey and Eleanor Eli Moss. Marcus, last time we did this. I said you were in Queens, but is that still true?
No, it's not. I'm mad about it. I'm a
Sorry
block
to
away.
bring
No,
it
I'm a
up.
block away from Queens. So, but no, I'm
Did
technically
your
in
did your
Brooklyn.
house burn down?
I didn't own it, so it's not my
Yeah.
house, but the building I was living in had significant fire damage. So, I mean, it's like it's shorter and more interesting to say it burned down, but it didn't burn down. But where I was living, yeah, there was a fire, so I had to move. Um,
Sorry to blow up your spot like this.
oh, that's why.
What, are you in Brooklyn now?
Yeah. But like I said, I'm a block away from Queens, and it's really funny because um, someone who leaves their bicycle like locked up within the block has like just I don't know what to call it. It's like a full driver's license, but like tacked onto the bike just as decoration, and it just says Queens. So I don't know if on
Oh,
their
like a license plate?
yeah, I don't know if on their that side of the block it's already Queens, but if not, then I mean whatever, they're close enough. They're
Yeah, you're
like
right on the
they're like
border.
100 feet, so it's
Yeah. Do you still say you're from Queens or like?
no, I'm from Michigan, just like both of you.
Well, no, I mean like that's true, but do you say you're in Queens?
No, I don't know. I don't even think I'd in the same way that when I'm in I always want to be looking at the doors in case enemies enter. I'm not going to be exposing where I live to randos.
Except for on this
Yeah, except
podcast,
for on
maybe.
this podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Eleanor, how are you?
Uh, you know, the usual, I guess. I'm okay. I could be worse. Could be better.
Yeah,
Just keep on trucking.
keep on trucking. We had at least some nice weather this week here in Austin.
We did. It was very nice. It's unfortunate that it bodes ill for the state of the world, as
For all
usual.
living creatures, it bodes poorly.
But if
in the moment,
but if you
it
ignore
feels
that,
good.
yeah, it feels great.
Yeah. I sat
It's
on
nice
the
to go outside.
yeah. I sat in my I woke up today. I sat in my hammock and had tea, and I read. Then I did some chores. Then I took a nap, and then I woke up and sat in my hammock again and had tea and read again. I had like 2 mornings today. That's how nice it was outside.
Wow, that
Pretty
sounds really nice.
pretty incredible.
I didn't go outside until 6:45 when I left to come over here.
That's nice too. It's funny that we're talking about the Drake book, Marcus, because, and this isn't a necessarily unique experience, but when Drake hit the scene, I was like, oh, that guy from Degrassi. And Degrassi, there's like one summer where, this was in high school, there was one summer where you and I, Marcus, just watched a lot of Degrassi at your house. What was up? Why did we do that? Do you
I
remember?
can tell you, and I don't even know if any like I don't even know if I've even like recounted how or why. I remember when I'd like lurk random live journals. Somehow I ended up stumbling into like the a small corner, and I didn't know any of these people personally. I don't even know where they lived. Of like Degrassi fans,
Mm.
stands avant the lettre. So they were holding it down before anyone was really saying Stan, and they were ranting over the show, and I used to remember reading some commentary and be like, this sounds so dramatic, like I love it. And then I remember that whatever channel it was on I had, so I was able to see it on TV, and I was hooked after like 4 episodes. And so I got the ordered the DVDs, and it would have been like then that school year like ended, and then I was probably like, you need to watch this with me. I was like, it would have been like the summer. It's so funny how much these things diverge, or like how divergent they are of being like 16 and 3 CDs in in the CD changer were really like uh were are really salient in my mind was the Orange Juice early releases compilation.
Wow.
Uh, Dear Catastrophe Waitress, of course,
Yeah.
and Loveless.
Wow.
But at the
R-
same time, and I was like I was introducing you to some stuff, but in terms of music, but in terms of garbage, I was introducing you to Degrassi, and we'd watch it for like 4 hours at a time. Yeah, you recall that correctly.
Yeah, you were shoveling it into my brain. I have one really, really vivid memory of being in your third floor living room or whatever. And like, for some reason, we had like 10, 12 people over. We were all watching Degrassi. Yeah, it was the episode where Drake gets shot and wheelchair bound, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just really remember that very vividly. I know we keep going on about Drake, but I want to talk about these two Josh Brolin Dune poems for a couple reasons. A few people sent these to me, and I want to encourage people to send me things that they think were relevant to the podcast. So shout out to Steph and Jacob and Matt, who all sent this, and someone else whose name I'm forgetting. But I'm seeing Dune tomorrow, Dune, the second Dune movie, and I'm seeing it again on the 16th. Do you guys have any plans to see the new Dune movie?
Fuck no.
Are you not into Dune?
I I read some of it like ages ago, and I read a lot. I thought Dune was like not
No,
interesting,
Dune's not good. Yeah.
and like I said, if it has like ships and sci-fi, I'm just like it's gonna it has a soporific quality to it for me. So yeah, just
I didn't know you were
lame,
like
lame, just lame and more lame. Just it's fucking Marvel. How is it not Marvel?
no, it's artful. It's done by that one director who did I can never say his name, Delis Villeneuve or whatever.
I can give
Yes,
you a
thank you.
Napoleon 30 seconds right now. When I think of Villeneuve, I think of Charles Villeneuve, who was the admiral, who was defeated in the disaster that was the Battle of Trafalgar as the Napoleonic Empire was approaching its military zenith.
Wow.
After the battle, he retired in disgrace, and if I'm correct, became an alcoholic and then shot himself. Um, his name is Villeneuve, the admiral.
Uh-huh.
His name is inscribed in the Arc de Triomphe. So if you go to Paris,
Wow.
you can still see it today. So as far as I'm
Wow.
concerned, that's the only Villeneuve that's occupied any of my headspace.
Do you feel like you don't want to watch the Dune movie like subliminally because of this?
No, it's just
You
because
associate him with this failure?
it's Marvel movie. Like I don't care.
I love Marcus. I love how everything collapses. Everything above a certain level of like pop cultural relevance, he just collapses into like one sort of like synecdoche, like image, like the just Dune is Marvel.
Yeah.
Let's read these two poems.
No, can I?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just beating the dead horse, but who the fuck is this Brolin person? So I did read the tweets, I read the poems, I read the Drake book,
Book, if you
but
could call it
like
that.
so I thought it was gonna I thought when I saw like 150 pages, I'm like, okay, God, like I was I was the type of student who actually did every page of his reading for every fucking class in undergrad and grad school. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna like strike out with this Drake book. But then I realized it's just like 3 words a page. I'm like, okay, this
Yeah,
makes
it's
no
done in
this
10
makes
minutes.
no sense. But okay, so so I did all the assigned reading, but
Yeah,
I
thank
I
you.
don't want to like the paratext it's not even text. Like I don't know who the fuck these these Marvel directors and this twink actor and I like none of it mean I don't get it. Like fill me in the least with the least effort possible.
Josh Brolin, he's an actor. He was in The Goonies. He was in No Country for. I mean, I don't really know dick about Josh Brolin. I'm like reading his Wikipedia right now. I watched Hollow Man a couple weeks ago because I'm watching all of the Verhoeven films, and he was in that. Whatever. He's just an actor. Like I don't know enough about him to tell you anything interesting. Um, he's he's Thanos. That's Marvel. Yeah, it's literally Marvel. Marcus is
I have no
somehow
idea.
knew that.
Like as in like the like something to do with death.
Thanos is like the purple, like he looks like like I don't know what he's like an ogre. He's like a purple ogre that's the main bad guy in Marvel movies.
Stop.
Dude, I don't fucking know. Like I'm reaching my capacity of like what I know about this. Like that's as far as it goes for me. I don't know anything beyond that. Eleanor, help.
He's basically just a big purple giant who fucks people up.
He's like a purple alien, like ogre.
Yeah.
And he's the bad guy. And it's Josh Brolin, apparently.
Yeah, a heavily CGI'd Josh Brolin.
Which I didn't know until looking into this, but that's not my world at all.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like they didn't really advertise it that well, or not that well, but like they purposefully didn't really point attention to the fact that it was Josh Brolin, which I find which I think is fine, but like it's also weird for Hollywood to not, point out a celebrity that's in one of their things.
Well, he wrote these 2 poems, or he wrote I think more than 2 poems. There's a book that's coming out about the Dune movie. It's like a book of photography and poems from the set of the new Dune movie.
Is like the Joker in it?
Is the Joker in the Dune? What does that mean?
I don't know. You're talking like
here we
about
go.
a purple guy and like I don't know. Go on.
Okay. So there's a book coming out called Dune Exposures. It just came out actually on February 13th. It's photography from the set, behind the scenes type stuff, and then all of these poems that Josh Brolin, I guess he wrote them just while he was on the set. They're both are kind of like odes to the an actor and actress in the Dune movie. And you know what I realized is there might be a Christopher Walken poem amongst Josh Brolin's poems.
That's true.
Which I would love to see. I might have to hunt that down, actually. Eleanor, do you want to read the one about Florence Pugh?
Yeah. Where she looks matters. Even with a sparkling veil over her face, her eyes shine a mischief that's hidden by her soft orange laugh. Always a laugh at the ready. A sun rises by a man lifting it over his head behind her, and her shimmer on the stage becomes its own performance, though she is unaware. When Marilyn Monroe comes onto the silver screen for the first time, you know immediately that she will rise like this sun on this stage, until someone or something calls for it to stop. Like Marilyn, and even surrounded by the star-studded cast of Dune, you can feel her cells preparing for a thinner air, a higher ground. Her talent becomes her. She lies down between shots, splayed in her princess regalia. We are all tired, but she lies there without worry, and her composure is one of easy royalty. I think with this character either rubbing off or being incarnate already, she's destined to a lava that nobody, eventually, will even dare approach.
Fantastic. Even better the second time.
Cameo by Merlin.
Yeah, I think he heard Marilyn Monroe and thought it was him that you were talking about.
Merlin Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe. Marcus, do you want to read the Timothy Chalamet poem?
Yeah, I can do that. Your face is etched by adolescence. Your cheekbones jump toward what are youth-laden eyes that slide down a prominent nose and onto lips of a certain poetry. And the way you hold my gaze makes me fear my own age, because something in me tells me you are going to offer me something, and for now, I'm not sure it's going to be something I want anymore.
Thank you. Yeah, I you know what? I like these poems. I are like, to me, there's something kind of beautiful and earnest about these poems. I like the idea of Josh Brolin, I don't know, writing these poems while he's on set for Dune.
Yeah, it's very endearing and like charming to think about. Although
Yes.
I would never, if I wrote poems like this about people I knew, I would never tell them.
You wouldn't tell me if you wrote a poem about my high cheekbones and my my statuesque face.
No, I mean, yeah, I already have, but I haven't told you that it's about you. So
Oh my lord, I'm blushing. You can't see me, but I'm blushing. Marcus, what were your thoughts?
I think that they're not, when I was aware of the subject matter, they weren't as bad as I thought they'd be. And in a similar fashion to at least one or two, if not more, of the Lana Del Rey selections, it's a few lines in each that just like sink the ship for me.
Yes. Yes.
Like the star-studded cast of Dune.
Oh my
You
God.
can feel
Yeah.
her cells preparing. It's like that whole line should have been it should have been completely reworked because
Yes.
yeah, with all my bitterness and misanthropy and vituperation that I throw around on here and in real life, like you can sell me with friendship because I would write an ode about either one of you and put it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Or I'd write one about JP and put it on Twitter. But so like you made me more receptive, and you kind of influenced my judgment there. But I mean, it still remains that among like with the first one where it does have like this earnest quality. I don't know the relationship between these two individuals, but yeah, there's a sweetness to it, a simplicity. But like I said, that line just brings it back to not even prosaic. It just makes it like bad written sales copy. In the second one, it's like a prominent nose onto lips of a certain poetry. Like, I don't know, he could have gone with even something that's more like of a cliche, like, I don't know, compare him to like some like Greek hero or some Theban youth or like, I don't know, and then doing I'm making a poem and it's referencing poetry.
Yes.
So yeah, that line killed it for me. But
Onto lips of a certain poetry, like that doesn't really like mean anything. Like it's kind of meaningless and it doesn't really give you anything to picture. But it sounds nice. There's something to them. There's clearly inspiration behind it, but like you said, there's also moments that I would edit out, or I would not. There are moves that I would not make.
Yeah, I get that, but I also think that poems like these don't necessarily need to be, heavily edited necessarily to be, to accomplish what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it's kind of like what you said about the Lana Del Rey book. It's like it's kind of interesting as a glimpse into this famous person or this like famous artist's mind in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like it kind of lives and dies on that fact, because if you read this poem in a journal and you're like, oh, it's a poem about Florence Pugh by someone who doesn't know her, it'd just be like, what the fuck? Like, I don't care about this.
Yeah, it would be kind of weird.
Yeah. Creepy.
So the
borderline.
it's the context is
They're kind
important.
of diaristic or something. Yeah. But I just wish these fucking celeb poetry writers would pass these poems through a poetry editor. Just like one editor. Like, give them to me. Like, there's a line in here that's in the Chalamet poem, because something in me tells me you are going to offer me something, and it's like you can cut that down to something like, because something tells me you are going to offer something, or like the repetition of something. It's not a strong enough word to be repeated 3 times, but something in me tells me, just something tells me. Like, it's these like little marks where it's like the amateur's hand kind of reveals itself, I think. And I see the same thing in the...
I feel like normally I would say, yes, you should do that. But I don't know. Something about the way that he's approaching these poems just makes me feel like I think they should just be taken as is, as he envisioned them, because like it feels like kind of like his pursuit is pure,
Yes.
Even if it's not super great.
Yeah. And I'm not saying poetry has to be this like purely focused on brevity. Like, there's a lot of poetry that I like that's very loquacious or very sort of maximalist or whatever, but like hitting that line, because something in me tells me, it's just like, it's like you could cut that down and just focus it a little more. It could just be a little cut down, a little more focused. It could hit just a hair harder. But I agree, like the sweetness of it kind of overrides that. I agree with you, but I also agree with Marcus that like I just like I want to take a red pen to both of these poems. I have to pee and grab another beer, and then we'll move on to talking about the
Regs.
What? I have to pee. I can't.
No, I have to. No, I'm off. No, I'm off the leash. Like, you broke my rhythm. Now I'm just gonna go fucking bounce off the walls. I've been reading your material. I've been spending a lot of time with your work, Eleanor.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I have some of your stuff that I either pilfered or maybe you kind of offered up. It's of extra importance because since I've had them, I've had at least one flood and then a fire followed by like the water that flooded things. So I have had many books just like unreadable, and I don't make lists of anything, but I have made lists of some of the books that were damaged that I want to replace. But yours were always like tucked away in like an area on a shelf or on a table where they were never exposed to it. So it's like, yeah, the gods clearly needed me to like make some deep dives back into your oeuvre.
Yeah, you tweeted out a poem from Like the Devil, classic.
Yeah, like the
Classic
devil, like the devil's a fucking old timer.
Yeah. I also did some Eleanor tweeting, and it was like the same time you did it, but it wasn't planned, or like I didn't see your post.
Yeah.
But...
I was reading. I was like that same day when you were like when you tweeted like spending all day reading books. Like, I started my day off like, aside from caffeine, I'm like gonna start my day off with some Eleanor and move on to like like nonfiction, and then like you tweeted that, and I was like, holy fuck, like this was yeah.
Yeah, I tweeted out your the poem you published in Midst magazine, which is like the poetry journal that shows the poem being written and edited, like shows the process behind the poem. And yours is so fucking funny because you just write it straight through, like no edit, like you're like, this is how I write. All right, let's talk about this. I'm so sorry I made you guys read this book. Titles Ruin Everything by Aubrey Graham and Kenza Samir. I feel like I'm very sorry.
I mean, it was an interesting experiment, I guess.
Yeah.
I know how low the bar really is.
Okay, okay, I want to talk about this book, and then I want to read. I think we should read the whole thing as a group to end the podcast because it'll take 10 minutes.
Will it really?
And I don't. I timed myself. It took like 15 minutes to read this book, and I don't think. Well, I don't know how much we're gonna have to say about this book, but
like I don't want there a record of me doing like Drake's put on like AAVE.
we don't have to do it. It's just was an idea for content to. I mean, it's like a way of padding out the episode the way Drake padded out this book with copious white space. So let's describe this book. Let's just start from the top, like the experience of what opening this book would be like. The first thing you see is two like puppies with a QR code on them, right? And it says for all the dogs. And if you scan the QR code, it takes you to a very blank website that's basically Drake saying, I have a new album coming out. So right off the bat, this is just an advertisement for an album. But the way he phrases it, he's like, I made an album to go with the book. And what do we say about this book? It's 168 pages. It is one line per page, dead center. Some pages don't have any line at all. There's several just completely blank pages, many completely blank pages, and it is just one line per page. It's
I mean, if you've listened to any Drake songs, then you'll know that this is just his lyrics, but on a page, basically. Like,
yeah,
this is just how he writes lyrics.
Which we talked a little bit about with Lana Del Rey, because we were like, these would make more sense in a song, or like the problems with these lines and these poems would be less egregious if they were just as lyrics. And we talked about how sort of the emotion of the song can kind of like pull you through what might be a bit of a clunker lyrically.
Then especially I feel like this holds true for Drake, because even like his real cringy lyrics, it's like they're gone in a song. It's like they're over in like a second, and there's a good beat. So you're like, okay, yeah, whatever.
yeah. Like isolated, they like giving them the space and isolation on a page, and the sort of putting them into the rarefied air of being poetry makes them just so embarrassing. I mean,
everything he writes is generally pretty embarrassing, but this just highlights exactly how embarrassing it is. And it's like, especially given that there is one line per page, so you have to like digest the line each page and see just like how empty and shallow everything is. It's just like
yes, it's like set up punchline. Like a lot of the book is kind of just this like 2-line jokes, 2-line. They're like maybe things people would put as an Instagram post caption. It's
It's just like someone, if you like went on Twitter one night and just saw some account that you follow like vague tweeting for like an hour, just like 60 tweets, like this is exactly what it would look like. It's just put, like one like line of a tweet per page.
Yes. Like here's the first. Let's just read the first couple. First page. I actually do have good things to say about you. Next page. Just not in this book. Next page. She is coming through to meet my career. Next page. I invited her over to experience her pictures. Next page. I'm the soundtrack for lives. Next page. That go on without me. Next page. I'll let you talk first. Next page. But don't let me go second. It is droning on and on like this. It is just this. Page 12. Life isn't fair. That's just printed on a page. A tree died. A beautiful fucking tree growing in a sunbeam for 30 years was destroyed to print this book. Have you guys ever seen that Twitter account that's called Black Homer?
No.
Oh my God. Okay, there's this Twitter account. It's called Black Homer. It's at Ghetto Homer. And, and like my impression of Twitter account was that it started off as like, you know, like maybe someone started it as like what a Black Homer would tweet. But at a certain point, it got taken over by a bot or, hacked or something. And then for a couple of years, it stopped in 2015, but for a couple of years, it just tweeted things like, if you fuck with my friends, you fuck with me. Or don't apologize, then do it again. Or fuck texting, I miss you.
Okay, I don't know if you two had the same experience, but so after like 10 pages, I'm like, okay, yeah, there really is gonna just be one line for each page. But I'm like, okay, he's trying to I don't know enough about his music. I mean, I know that he has he is just like something of an annoying public persona. So, but I thought he was trying to like put on the pretense of being more thoughtful or like to have some artistic depth, but then I got to okay, so after bromide, cliche upon cliche, I got to there are two types of women in this world: women who like giving head and women who I don't like. And I was just like, okay, I've completely given up on this dude and this book.
It's like these like flexes too. It's like, who is he so mad at? Who is he flexing at? Who are these haters and these fakers? Like,
I don't know. It's just like this vague nonsense of like the concept of someone who has wronged him.
Exactly. It's like fill in the blank. It's like, and like it's kind of funny. Like with hip hop music like this, like you listen to it when you're going about your day or you're working out or something. You can kind of imagine your imagined enemies in the place, and you kind of imagine yourself in the position of the speaker sometimes. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
A lot of like Drake's music has kind of got this like motivational hustle, uplift sort of thing going on. But in the form of poetry and on the page, it just becomes this weird obsessive guy, like just yelling into the void or something. The voids of white space around all of these lines. It becomes this like totally different thing. Like I can't latch onto it and can't put myself in the shoes the way I could maybe with his songs.
Yeah, and like I feel like I can like there's nothing wrong with being vague about, referencing someone, because like so many poets do that. I fucking do that. So like I can't talk shit about that specifically, but just the way he does it, he like everything is framed like, he's always right and the other person is always wrong, and there's no like there's no sense of him really like trying to process or digest anything that he's going through. It's just like, well, this is fucked up and I hate you and you suck.
Yeah, there's no like complicating it. It's just like one tone, front to back. It's the same, just same thing. He's kind of just attacking or like, just responding to this like former lover slash fake slash, person he's in competition with. And yeah, there's nothing that like, there's no complication to it. There's no moment where he switches it or twists it in an interesting way. Like, not that I would expect that, but it's just the same tone front to back.
Yeah, and just like the content of these lines is just like nothing.
It is fucking nothing. It is empty. It's
Like,
devoid of substance.
absolutely. It's either just nothingness or just like horrible bullshit.
Not even funny. It's not even funny. It's just like the most charitable read I can do for this book. The most charitable read is that it is all a joke to him and that he knows that, and he's like trolling, which is not good. And the funny thing is, like, he said when he tweeted or when he posted about this book, I found the post and he said he was more excited about this, or he wanted people to buy this book more than anything he's done before. So maybe he's not in on the, like, maybe it's not a joke to him.
It could be just that, and I don't think, and whatever, I'm not going to speak for either of you two, but I don't want to be the person that thinks that what I'm about to say exists, but like the magical belief in like being an author of a book has like this talismanic quality, which is just like why you would publish like Business Secrets of the Pharaohs or whatever. You just want to see your name on a book,
Yes.
and then you'll be like, I wrote a book. And that sounds like straight from out of like a sitcom or like whatever, a bad movie plot or something. But I don't know. Wasn't aware that that's what he said. But well, maybe the fact of just having a book out that has his name
So
on
I
it.
wanted to ask you guys, does this even qualify as a book? And I asked
Yeah,
you this
how
because
could it be? This is nothing.
obviously by physical properties it is a book, but I really wanted to find the sales numbers for this because I'm just curious about all this stuff. And I emailed my connects at the Nielsen book scan, and they said they have no data on this book. And what that indicates is that it only sold through the publisher's website, Faden, and through Drake's website. And Faden is a London-based publisher that publishes a lot of art books. And this book, Drake's book, sold out very quickly within a week. My guess is that they probably printed like 1,000 copies. And then they're just like, oh, the book sold out. It did really well. And it's just like promo material or something. But to me, it's like the fakest version of a book possible. It's like when a politician publishes a memoir and nobody buys it, but it gets given out as a gift at some political conference. And because of those sales, it gets put on bestseller lists. And then they can say they have a best-selling book and probably like 80 people read it total. Like, that's kind of my assumption about this book. And it's funny. I was reading a lot of posts on the Drake subreddit, r/Drizzy, about this book.
I love that.
And,
it's like made me that's like the best thing I've learned tonight. Go on.
And his fans think this is a fucking joke too. So many of them were like, yeah, I ordered it, but then I canceled my order when I found out it was just like one line per page. Like, I think, yeah, like the response from his fans were like, this is bullshit.
Oh, okay.
There's one good response. There's one review on Goodreads that was like 4 stars, and it was someone saying, I think it's funny that Drake put out a poetry book. So, again, the most charitable read is that this is a joke.
It's hard to tell. So it's like, I don't know what he's going for. And also, again, well, I guess not again, because we haven't talked to him about it in this fucking
Session, this
recording.
reality.
Yeah. Not with AI or Eleanor. But yeah, this was in collaboration with someone, one of his songwriters. So it's like
Yes.
2 fucking people worked on this somehow.
Yeah, the shocking thing is 2 people are involved in this. Like, This is like 8% of a real book, and 2 people are about. So I was like curious about this Kenza Samir, who is the other person credited to this book. And there's not a lot of information about this woman online. Seems to be just someone who's in Drake's circle. But I did use the Wayback Machine to look at her blog, kenzasamir.com. And, you know, she has writing credits on his 2016 album. But when you read her blog from 2015, 2016, I want to know how old this person is, because the blog is like what you would write when you're like 19 and you're trying to be a writer. Like, you look at her blog and it's things like, there's one post that was like Coffee Shop Chronicles Part 1, and it was her just like describing the things she sees in a coffee shop. And there was another post that was a paragraph that was like about those crazy thoughts you have at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep. And it's just, there was one post that I appreciated that was her talking shit about Malcolm Gladwell. So maybe there's something, there's some substance to her. But for the most part, she just seems like one of those Instagram baddies who like has like 100,000 followers, but has only 6 posts on Instagram, and you never can see her face. And she's like sort of vaguely mysterious. I couldn't find very much information about this woman at all. I found a Kenza Samir on LinkedIn who lived in Montreal, and I added her and I messaged her and I said, "Are you the Kenza Samir who works with Drake?" And she said no. So shout out to her. A lot of content was made out of this book too. Complex Mag did this article where they had Hanif Abdurraqib and another poet react to this book. And they were just kind of like, Hanif said something like, "I'm not interested in gatekeeping what is or isn't poetry." And I'm like, I am. And I cannot relate to that. And then, so they came out with this article. These poets reacted to this book. They basically were like, yeah, whatever. It's just like a bunch of bullshit, like punchlines. It's kind of like dumb. Like, some of them are a little funny, but that's about all you can say about it. Drake responded to this article with a meme of a shrugging old woman that said, the text on the meme said, "Randomly angry poets," and then a bunch of gibberish letters, and then "me," and it was the shrugging old woman. And then Drake said Complex should have Instagram baddies review his book, not poets. So they did. They put out a video of these Instagram, these beautiful Instagram women reading the book. And at this point, I realized I had gone too far down this rabbit hole, and I was really wasting my time. And these journalists were wasting their time, and this book just wasted everybody's time. It wasted Hanif Abdurraqib's time, all of it, a waste of time. This book purports to call itself a stream of consciousness, but if this is Drake's stream of consciousness, he must be getting kicked in the head by a donkey every day or something. Like, I cannot imagine living with this being my stream of consciousness.
I'm pretty sure I'll try to make this illusion and digression as brief as possible. I've had a hard time taking stream of consciousness seriously. Like, obviously, I know it's a technique, it's valid, it was an artistic innovation, but maybe I'm partially making this up, but our friend Steve showed me the movie The Squid and the Whale like 15 years ago. And the father, like, after reading the plagiarized lyrics to like the Pink Floyd song that his son passes off as his own lyrics, he's like, "Oh, a very stream of consciousness and dreamlike." So it's like I since then I always associate. It's like when someone's like wants to say they put no effort into something, it's like, oh yeah,
Yes.
stream of consciousness. It's like an easy cop out with like an artistic veneer.
Yes, I think that's what that does as a part of the title is titles ruin everything. A stream of consciousness kind of just, it like lowers your expectations in a way or something. It's just kind of like, yeah, this is just like a glimpse into my mind. I didn't really think much about it or something. I think that's what it kind of functions as. I like that song that was like, I was running through the six with my woes. Until I read an interview. I think I told you this. Until I read an interview with someone involved in the song who said that woes in that song stood for working on excellence. And that
is so
totally
stupid.
Killed the song for me because it was no longer about running through the six with these sorrows or these problems in your life, which is a relatable thing. It became running through the six with you're working on excellence, which doesn't make sense. And
it's like, oh, I'm on my grind set fucking bullshit.
Yeah,
fuck
fucking
off.
hate that. I cannot stand that. And there's some of that in this book too. This like grind set bullshit. Like get your paper up and shit. I just, I have no patience for that. I don't tell me to do anything.
No, I reject that meaning. Woes are woes. And
yes, it is woeful. That makes the song so much better. And, you know, I don't want poems to inspire me to do shit. I want poems to make me feel better about being lazy. You know what I mean? Like, I want poems to like forgive me for like sitting around and smoking weed and jacking off all day. Like, I don't want a poem to make me feel bad about my bank account. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. I that's a funny way of looking at it. I don't fully agree, but I kind of agree. Like, I feel like I don't really want to like validate my fucking mental illness, lazy, sloth-like ways, but at least with poetry, I can be like, this is why I'm like this.
Yes, yeah,
like,
exactly. Like poetry
it's
makes
bad
you feel,
and like you shouldn't do it, but this is why.
Yeah, like poetry can make you feel better about like the weird, like the, I don't know, like not your bad habits, but just make you feel more human and less beat up
it's
about
relatable.
like the thing. Yeah, and like when a poem is like when they're telling me to like, when a poem is like telling me like fuck you, I have more money than you. I'm just like, okay, thanks. I know. Like, I just need to hear that.
Which is like, it's very much a thing, you know, in hip hop because that's what a lot of rappers do, and it works then. But in poetry, it just comes off as very, very weird and douchebaggy.
Yes, distasteful. I've seen people try to pull off like doing more hip hop language in poetry, like the braggadocio stuff, and it just never works. I don't think it ever works. Like
it works if you don't. It can work if you really make it seem pathetic.
Yeah, like if it's ironic, I guess it could work, or if there's like an element of humor to it or something. But fuck that.
Yeah, it's a weird look.
You know what I hate about this book too? The title, called "Titles Ruin Everything." You know he thought that was clever. Like, oh, the title is "Titles Ruin Everything."
Yeah, it's either he thought it was clever or he just couldn't think of anything. I don't know what I was expecting with this like book when I sat down to read it, but I felt when I started reading it, I felt like that scene from Arrested Development where Michael opens the bag labeled like "dead dove, do not eat" or something, and looks in it, and it's like,
I don't know what I expected.
That's exactly how I felt when I opened this book.
Okay, that's all. I had a great time. Let us just call it there. Maybe we could just, for a couple minutes, go through and read some lines. And I can kind of collage them together with some synths so we can give the effect of this book to our listeners. Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah.
The stuff you be saying on those apps says a lot. If I didn't know how to keep my comments to myself, I'd be commenting STFU.
Their insecurities are the main reason why I increase my security.
Those guys are so burnt out, we can smell it from here.
Apple added edit text so you can resent what you really meant. Is that resentment?
Tell me something I don't know, like your motives.
Canadian money does not fold.
told you that you have no business getting flown out if you can't at least fly business, but you don't ever listen.
I can read you like I wrote you.
Please go mind the business that pays you minimum wage.
Oh, yeah.
Rude!
He loves talking about how much money people make.
I know! It's like some people are struggling, Drake. Not all of us live in Canada.